So you need to get your shit together, I hear. There has been lots of things going on in your life. Stuff has been happening atmospherically that is out of this world, literally. We had an insane solar eclipse season. We have insanity going on in North America with the election. We have people losing their minds in so many different ways. And this can make it so easy for us to get derailed and off track, especially if you're an empath, an intuitive, a highly sensitive person, someone who's just done a lot of growth and is awake in this world because we see it all. We absorb it, we hear it. We can't not observe it, where some people can walk around completely oblivious and therefore they're kind of unaffected, really, because they're not seeing all the things that we're seeing and they're not as affected or impacted by energetic fields. Now, we can wish we were those people. Sometimes I'll say, God, I wish it was this way for me. It seems so much easier. It seems like it would be calmer to my nervous system, but the reality is the gifts that you get from being awake, from being present, from feeling all the things far outweigh all the other stuff about the people who are sheep, the people who are numb. But what we need to do is get back on track when we've been off track a while. It's really easy to stay off track because it gets harder and harder to come back in the game because we build such a case that it's going to be so hard and it's going to be so much work to get ourselves back in it and back at the life of business, the business of life. But it's much easier than your brain has built it up to be. And we're going to fix it today. What up, my people, my posse, my fellow crazies? It's your host, Tiffany Carter, and this is the show that is going to help you grow your business, your bank account, that big, beautiful brain of yours, your mindset, your relationships, your abundance, and everything in between. I designed this episode for today because of how many times I've heard from people in this last couple of weeks. I need to get my shit together. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't feel motivated. I feel so sluggish. I can't focus. And I want all the things I say I want. And I want to feel motivated. And I want to have that zest and that productivity surge. And I'm having a really difficult time getting back into it. And I know how important this season is, especially for my business. I mean, in just a couple days, it's November 1st. Like, how in the hell did that happen? We have 2 months until the end of the year. And yes, you're right. It's time for all of us to get our shit together. And I'm including myself. But I first want to go into the shame of it all. What will not work when you are listening to this is shaming yourself and ridiculing yourself for being off track, for getting sidewhacked and sidelined, even for being kind of lazy, if you will. There are different seasons in nature. There's also different seasons in business and in our own lives. You can't be on all the time. Think of professional athletes. There's on season and off season. Believe me, don't you think the world of soccer, the world of football, don't you think that they would keep going and going and game after game after game because it's a multi-billion-dollar industry if that was actually realistic and possible? From a business standpoint, it's realistic, but not from a human standpoint. The players would all be injured. They would be a mess. It would be an absolute disaster. The entire industry would collapse because rest is required for us to perform at our best. Times of reprieve and not a weekend, and not even necessarily a week, is enough when you are a high performer, when you are growing at a really fast pace, when you are expanding to new levels of abundance and you're really going after it. One thing for sure that I wish was slammed in my face over and over again is that when you are really taking the risk and going all in on the stuff, as much as that does require you to have focus and determination and grit and productivity, it also requires an insane amount of recovery time. So I want you to build back this. I'm getting back into the game. We're in the final 2 months of the year. We're going for it. But I want you to go with it knowing, wait a second, it makes sense why I kind of had to take myself out, why I needed a reprieve, because I wasn't really prioritizing my recovery time. I wasn't doing it with intention. I was waiting until I felt fried and exhausted or sick to rest. And it's a pattern, it's a habit, and it's not going to work if you're wanting to grow and go at the level that you want to go to. I mean, look at even your favorite Netflix series. They're a series for a reason. We have to wait for the next series. Look at how long Emily and fucking Paris took. And if you want a safe show, it's an excellent, safe, warm and fuzzy show. Look at how long that took before we just got this season. I mean, there was a writer's strike here in LA, but aside from that, there are other projects the actors work on. There needs to be downtime for the actors, downtime for the creative writers. And I have to remind myself of this too, as a content creator, as a podcaster. I mean, there's a lot of big podcasts that do things per season where they'll take months off or weeks off in between seasons, just like they do on TV. But what's so crazy is we can forget, because the world of social media, the world of all these streaming platforms, it's the content monster. It's always hungry. It always wants more. We can feel the pressure. Like, if I'm not putting out content and if I'm not constantly showing up, people will forget about me, or other people who do something similar to me will end up getting the visibility and then I'll be forgotten about. There's a lot of shit that comes up. And to think that you are meant to keep going and going and going and going and going and going and posting every single day and doing emails and doing a podcast and doing, product creation, whatever type of business you're in, that's not really realistic, is it, when you think about it? And just because a lot of what likely you do doesn't involve your body per se, aside from me doing these big speaking gigs or I'm doing sales trainings for companies, yes, that involves me taxing my body physically, right? There's travel involved. I am expending energy talking to people in real life and on a stage, and I'm pacing around. But it's not like the energy that someone puts out when they're playing a full soccer match, right? And we can forget that because we're not expending that energy physically, that why do we need a break? It's like you're not feeling it, but look at the warning signs of what your brain does. You're exhausted mentally, you're exhausted energetically and emotionally. And that's no different than being tired physically. If you're wiped out physically, someone would say, oh, you don't want to get sick. You need to make sure that you take a nap. You need to make sure you take your vitamins. You need to make sure you get a liquid IV. Or if you were me back in the day, and I'm not joking you, in order to keep going, I used basically prescription speed. Not basically, I did. Yeah, we wonder why I'm going through a whole nother layer of adrenal healing at this point with what I did to myself. But like using a lot of caffeine or sugar, substances, your internal drugstore of cortisol, even how you talk to yourself in your mind, like, come on, get going. What's wrong with you? Let's go, let's go, let's go. A lot of you are in the same generation as me, or I call it the boot camp generation. If you're a fellow, gym rat, it was like, you gotta go, you gotta push, da 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 da. Like, I have that internal driver in me. And while that is nice and that does get us into action and do things, it's very dangerous because it leads to burnout, and it doesn't lead to sustained performance, high integrity performance. So I want you to, one, take the shame off. your body and your brain is telling you something. If your brain isn't firing, you're feeling foggy, even after you sleep, even if you're exercising, even if you're eating well, or your window of mental clarity and creative bandwidth time a day keeps getting shorter and shorter, which I noticed with myself. It went from like 6 hours to 5 to 4.5 to 3. It's like, okay. And that's what happens when we keep pushing past. And that's not what we do over here at Project Me. How you make more and work less, you have to have planned in there full recovery time, just like a professional athlete. I need you to have brain breaks, brain recovery. So that might have been a long way of helping you let yourself off the hook of why maybe you're having a difficult time getting yourself back into the groove and back into the swing of things and back at it. And I know that feeling is intoxicating. It even has a high effect to it because of course we want to be in the zone. Who doesn't want to be in that true abundance zone? But I tell you over and over again, and even in my abundance walks, my guided meditation series, you need to make sure you're getting that because I have your season of abundance. It's completely free for you. There's a bonus one in there that's very helpful. There's a reason why thousands and thousands of people regularly post themselves on abundance walks, which I love seeing. Tag me when you guys do. That's great content for your own channel. And it delights me to see you guys doing that, walking your dogs in nature, even if you're just doing some light movement in your house while listening. And you can swipe up. That's inside the show notes. That's also here on YouTube at Project Me TV inside the description. And it's at projectmewithtiffany.com/season of abundance. Let's get you back in that season. Let's get you back in the game. But it's like when you see an athlete, they have preseason training. They know it's coming up. They know they have to start warming up their muscles, pumping up their mind, warming things up with their nutrition. And you keep waiting for this miraculous day to happen where you're like, okay, I feel like I'm in the abundance zone. I'm ready to go. And then the next day comes and it's not there. And the next day comes, it's not there. The next week comes, it's not there. And then you start getting scared because you're like, oh shit, I don't have that get up and go. I don't have that focus. I don't have that zest for putting all this stuff together for my business. And then the fucking overwhelm comes in. If this is really hitting, you need to let me know. Take a screenshot of this episode, share it in your social media, Instagram, Facebook stories, TikTok, tag me at Project Me with Tiffany. It's like, oh, I know I need to get back in it and I can't. And what if I can't get back in it? And I know I need to. This is really important. And what's wrong with me? And then you get on this loop of what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Why can't I get back in it? And then you're seeing people online or in real life that seem to have the zest, are in the abundance zone. They're crushing it. And you're over here staring at a blank screen with that feeling of like writer's block. You're like, paralyzed in this weird fog state. It's normal. I get it. I have been in it at 2 different times this year. And it's as a result of not being intentional with the rest and recuperation and recovery that you need, meaning you in particular, your unique makeup need in order to perform at your best. Every person that I have coached, which is well over 150,000 people at this point, people who I've employed, people who I've managed in corporate, every single person, when I looked at all the high performers, they all had these different nuances that were required for them to be at peak performance. They didn't have to always make sense to me, right? Some of them bewildered me. Some of them I may have even low key judged, but ultimately, you need to learn what it is you need to perform at your best, and it's your job to honor it. No one's going to do it for you. And there might even be people in your life who judge you for how you take care of yourself in order to be able to be in a sustained abundance zone. But likely it's your own inner bully in your head that's judging you based upon all the shit that we've been taught from childhood in our education system, especially if you're in America, which is like, work, 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 push, force, grind, perform, perform, perform. And yeah, there's a lot of payoffs for that. I'm not going to bullshit you on it. A lot of you listening have experienced the payoffs, the rewards, the accolades, the money, the bonuses, the promotions. But you know what? It comes at too big of a cost. It doesn't work. And it really doesn't work in entrepreneurship. It especially doesn't work. Yeah, in the corporate world, that corporate grind, it works for them, the people who own that company, because you burn out. Well, there's another person that right there to take your spot. There's also so many other people that if you take a paid leave or something, there's so much redundancy, someone else can step in, right? That's not going to really affect the bottom line. They just want people maxing themselves out constantly. But when it's your own business and you're the leader of it, even if you're not the face of it, but you're the one who is facilitating, is guiding, is directing, your energy needs to be as pristine as it possibly can, or the rest of it does start deteriorating, does start falling apart. So here's how we're going to get your ass back in the game. And I'm going to share with you how I get myself back. Is one, like I said, remove the shame and the judgment. Now that you have a new way to look at it, when you're thinking about professional athletes, when you're thinking about even actors, how the movie business works, even how someone like a Taylor Swift works. She doesn't pump out album after album after album. There's a reprieve. Some of our favorite performers, they disappear for years in between. Now, I know what you're going, well, I don't have the luxury to do. Well, yes, they have the luxury to do it because of how much success that they have when they do come back in the game, and they have the money to be able to take that reprieve, but they're also paid that kind of money because that kind of reprieve is needed. I've worked with actors. I live in LA. I've worked with professional athletes. They are paid that. They should be paid that, because the amount of downtime they have to take and the amount of detail and attention that they have to constantly be on top of in order to perform at that level is insanity, and almost no one can do it, which is why it's such a small percentage of people who are in that spot. So I want you to go, okay, what is it that I need to do in order to make sure that I feel the most rested and recovered? Is it that you really need 2 full days per week where you are not looking at a device, where you are not posting something, you're not looking at something? I really want you to look at that so you can reverse engineer it. And what was okay for you year 1 or 2 in your business, you might be at 5 or 6 or year 10, whatever. And it just doesn't work for you now because you're at a different stage in your life. Maybe you have kids now. Maybe you've gone through some shit. Maybe you're going through some hormone stuff. Maybe you're just at a different pace and a season in your life. Something I noticed for me is that if I do not detach from creating content and give myself a true longer reprieve, I can keep going for a pretty long period of time because I have a really strong built content muscle, which is what I teach you guys to do, right? Like I teach you to build that muscle. So content doesn't feel hard to me. I delight in creating content for you. However, one of my biggest warning signs is when it starts feeling so heavy and I feel super cunty with a K about creating content. when things you normally enjoy doing and delight doing, and you go, oh my God, I get paid to do this. This is pretty insane. And you start dreading doing it, not wanting to do it. It feels 10 times harder than it is. Major warning sign that you've been pushing, 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 and not allowing, and that things need to be switched up in how you operate. So, how are you going to operate so that you can show up in your season of abundance for the remainder of 2024 during peak money making season online? And while doing that, not all consuming, because I want you to be able to enjoy the season, the holidays, the festivities, the travel, the family, whatever it is you do. You've got to be able to be awake and alive and present for that as well. So this is like entrepreneurial work-life balance. And I used to roll my eyes. I'm so curious how many of you did the same thing, where you'd work for corporate and they'd be like, let's talk about work-life balance. Or you'd be like so exhausted and your manager would be like, well, it looks like you need more work-life balance. It's like, okay, Barry, thank you, Barry. But it's like how this is set up here is that is not possible or rewarded, which is why you have your own business. As you get to create your own schedule. It gets to be on your time, but you've created a self-imposed prison for yourself. You have recreated your own toxic work environment. And that is why you're feeling fried. You wouldn't feel fried if you had an abundant work environment. And we all fall off this, okay? We do it when it comes to exercise and diet. We do it in relationships. We get sidewhacked and sidetracked. And now it's time to do a full reorganization of your company into making sure this is an abundant work environment for you. And that might look different for everyone. So I'm doing this with you guys, okay? I'm feeling a lot of it too. I'm doing a lot of deep body healing work, and my fellow sexual abuse survivors will understand this, is that we store our trauma in our tissues. And when you have had and endured that kind of sexual abuse, sexual assault, man, this shit is deep. And I've been in therapy. I've been in art therapy. I've been in outpatient programs. Okay. I've done a lot of stuff, the breath work, the somatic work, but I'm doing deep, deep body, like cellular level release work in my gut and in my liver. And woo, I did not expect to have what is coming up for me. I did not expect it. I'm glad I didn't expect it, because I might have procrastinated and avoided doing it. And I know it needs to come up and out of my body. I know my body has been holding some extra fat and inflammation as a form of protecting me, because that's just what it does. And I know if I want to feel my best and feel light and not have my bones feel achy, crunchy, and stiff, and I want to feel vibrant, and I deserve to feel that. And I don't deserve to feel weighed down, because I was so weighed down my entire childhood and truly all of my 20s too. So weighed down, because then I started weighing myself down, because being weighed down felt so familiar. And I know I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here, which is hopefully why you also like the show. Like, wow, Tiff is not of sound mind. If she can do it, I can do it. But because I'm going through this healing, deeper healing journey right now, I need to make sure that how I have things set up in my business are a little bit different. We have to tweak things for what we're going through. And I need a lot more downtime. I need a lot more time of quiet, a lot more time of reprieve, a lot more time of disconnection and detachment from electronic devices. And we're fucking surrounded by these things. And I also love these things, because it has empowered us to be able to make a shit ton of money location independent, wearing a robe from the couch, in line at the supermarket. I mean, it's incredible. And I'm so appreciative of modern technology, but we can also get consumed by it. All the shit that's coming out about what's been going on in Hollywood for decades and decades and decades, and all the details and the survivors. I've gotten caught up in that, and it's not working for me. It's energetically taxing me, and it's impacting my creativity and my flow and my general energy level. So I've gotten myself off track. So, what do you need to do to feel revived and refreshed? My guess is you need to set up a new routine, and it doesn't need to be rigid. Some of you get off on rigidity. My Virgo ass, it's not good for me to be too rigid. There needs to be some flow in it. I know that I need to have 3 days a week where I'm not responsible for pouring into another individual. 3 days, and they need to be 3 days in a row for me. So I have what I did have before was I would teach in my posse business and money coaching membership live on Fridays, and it's me most of the time. And then I bring in other special guest experts. That's just an hour of my time, and I love it. It's our special, safe place. Ah, I can't say enough about it. There's a reason it's famous, and people love it and have loved it for years. And that's 1 hour, and then nothing for the whole rest of the day. Nothing Saturday, nothing Sunday. But even knowing that I have that training on Fridays, even that doesn't count for me right now. I need to know that I'm not responsible for anyone or anything. So now I've blocked most of my Mondays. Now, this is likely temporary because that's basically Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So now I have a 3-day work week. And that doesn't mean I'm not working ever on a Sunday. Let's say I'm writing an email to you guys, but I am not on camera. I am not actively coaching. I'm not pouring out. I'm pouring into myself. So, what does that look like for you? How much time per week do you need to be pouring into yourself? Number two, who do you need to hire to make all of this so much easier? And I understand you are all at different levels and palettes for what you're spending, but I promise you, even spending a little more than you're comfortable with right now to hire someone to take some stuff off your plate, to keep you accountable, to keep you organized in your personal life, professional life, or both, it's going to be the best money you've ever spent. Yes, you're going to make some mistakes and hire some flukes and scams, and that there's no way to avoid that. That'd be like saying you're on the dating scene and every single person that you date ends up being amazing. That's just not possible in human nature. But what other support do you need that is going to help give you that time to have more intentional reprieve so that the time that you're spending on the stuff that's income generating and joy generating for your business and your life is pure, it's intact, it's not muddled with, oh, I now I've got to go answer all these customer service questions for people. Oh, now I've got to go over here and do this. Oh, now I've got to go edit this podcast. Oh, now I've got to go figure out how to do this tech thing. And then before you know it, 4 hours goes by and you haven't really even solved the problem. I know it seems like it's the smarter way to go sometimes because you feel like you're saving money. You feel like it'd be more work to have to explain the thing to someone else. It's not. And so I would say, like, if you are having a difficult time getting back into it, then you need to hire someone. You need to inquire about hiring someone. You need to start putting that out into the universe. And I don't want you to wait to get back into it and wait to get your shit together. Oh, once I hire someone, then I'll get my shit together and have some magical thinking about it. No, no, no. You getting your shit together is on you. And once you start getting your shit together, you get back into the abundance zone, then you'll start attracting the opportunities, the people, the ideas, things become clear. You've simply gotten off track. What are your best daily practices that keep your nervous system feeling in a grounded, flowing state? What feels good to you? What felt good to you in the summer might not feel good to you in this particular season. What felt good to me at the beginning of this year might not feel good to me now. Right now, as my body is doing this insane detox, I have been sleeping 9 to 10 hours a night. Like, my body needs a lot more rest than even intuitively seems like a good idea because I have that workout addiction brain, so it makes me nervous. Even this morning, I was like, I really need to go to yoga. I need to go to yoga. I need to go to yoga. It's like my body was like, I don't want to do that. That sounds really, really hard. That sounds like too much. And I have to pull myself back. Otherwise, we overtax ourselves with exercise, with to-dos, with people pleasing, with picking up the balls that other people drop in our families, in our friend groups. All of those micro decisions lead up to a macro abundance problem. So I want you to take a look at your micro decisions. How am I starting my day? Where can I add in where I'm taking an abundance walk, where I'm doing stretching, where I'm dumping any of my fears or my thoughts onto paper, where I am consciously connecting with myself and with the universe? Where is the time for me to do recreational hobbies or experiment with a new hobby or decorate something that has nothing to do with what you're going to monetize, you not propping up a camera and even recording content of it, which sounds very opposite of what I teach a lot of you guys to do, but you've got to have stuff that's just for yourself. Do you want to have a cute corner of your house where you have plants and you name your plants? Do you want to maybe hand decorate holiday cards this year? And that sounds like something fun for you to try. Do you want to start trying some new types of recipes? What are some true recreational hobbies that you can add in that take your mind completely out of personal development and business? I am very open to book recommendations. So I would love it if you DM'd me on Instagram at Project Me with Tiffany. I want like a juicy book series that has nothing to do with self-help stuff. It can be something that's spicy. It can be something that like feels good. I don't even want a biography or autobiography. I want to be transported into a totally different universe. I still subscribe to People magazine, okay? Because it has nothing to do with any of the spiritual world, business world, personal development world. And I'll read a People magazine in the bathtub and it delights me and it takes me offline. So I don't even want, even though I do have a Kindle for travel, truly, I want an actual physical book because I don't want to be tempted to have a device. I need to be off a fucking device. This is for me. I want to get back into doing the kind of journaling I used to do, which was like almost like a combo of daily journaling and vision boarding, if that makes sense, where I would, write some stuff in a journal, but it wasn't a lot of writing. I would use stickers, I would use cutouts of things I found in nature and tape them to the page on how I was feeling that day. I would doodle different things. And while listening to music, or I'd be listening to a sermon, listening to like really vibey EDM music, like with no lyrics that would distract me, and using all my office supplies of colored pens and pencils and glitter and stickers and If you're watching on ProjectME TV, you can see the delight in my face. And you've gotten away from some of the delight in life and the wonder and the awe because you've been so fixated on going, I should be doing this. I have to do this. We have so many of those in our lives. I have to exercise. I have to work out. I have to eat so much protein. I have to get this content out. I have to put out a new thing. Oh my God, everyone has a book. Now I have to have a book. Oh, I should really have a podcast. Everyone has a podcast, but it sounds like so much work. Oh, I need to do this with my kids. I should be doing this with my kids. Oh, now I'm not being a great partner. Now I need, if I really want to be a great partner, I should be doing this, that, and the other. Oh my God, it's all too much. No wonder why we shut down. No wonder why we end up in a state of functional freeze. And if you've not heard that term, I highly suggest you Googling it. I'm sure it's a hashtag on TikTok as well, where there's, where there's some psychologists and therapists talking about it. Functional freeze is basically a professional term for you being a robot, for you walking through life just completely numb. Yes, you're cooking dinner. Yes, you're making the kids lunches. Yes, you're doing your hair. You're even putting out content. You're even showing up for clients. You're checking all the boxes. You're even having sex. You're doing all the things, but you're not really present. You're not really feeling it. You're in this kind of numb state. And that's also why you don't feel that zest and connected and have that passion and excitement for your business. And we need to get you out of that survival state. And so the last component to this, because I don't want to overcomplicate it for you, because this doesn't need to be hard to get back into it. Your ego wants you to believe that, but that's bullshit. I need you to remove shoulds from your plate. The have tos, the shoulds. There's a lot of shit that you have convinced yourself. Your inner bully has convinced you. Society has convinced you. Social media has convinced you that you absolutely should be doing, must be doing, have to be doing if you want to be successful, if you want to look good, if you are a great mom, if you're a present partner, if you want to attract the right person, if you're manifesting the right way. Well, zero fucks given to it all. We got to have some zero fucks here. We got to remove the shoulds from the plate. I have been shoulding the fuck out of myself. And the more I'm in that kind of functional freeze, the more that I feel bogged down and have not been taking enough reprieve and time for myself. The shoulds and the have tos get really loud, because if you were raised like me or wired like me, we've used a lot of shoulds and have tos to get ourselves to do things. I've got to go to the gym. I've got to go do this. I've got to go do that. And it's a form of like self-motivation. And yeah, there's discipline in there. Okay. I'm not saying that's all bad, but it's gone awry. It's gone to the point where it's self-abuse. You are a toxic boss to yourself. And so how do we switch out of that? Let's remove everything from the plate, all of it. And maybe you need to do this on a post-it note. My favorite form of note taking, with a fresh Sharpie. Ooh, a fresh Sharpie. Even taking the top off of a fresh Sharpie makes this little squeaking noise. And when it's a fresh Sharpie and that felt tip pen, it is so satisfying to me. In fact, I think you should do that. So it's a fresh start. Maybe it's a fresh journal even that you're using, a fresh planner. Go get an end of year, the where they do the 2024-2025 combo. Fucking go get that. Do things that signify fresh, new beginning, even get a new scent, a new candle, a new fucking plant. I don't care. And I want you to only put down, and there shouldn't be that many things, what are my income and joy generating activities I need to focus on? I would maybe do this. Let's do income generating, joy generating, and health generating. That's all we're doing are those three. I don't want to see like 7 things under each. Income generating for me are high quality, highly shareable, emotionally evoking pieces of content, whether that's email, whether that's here on the podcast, whether it's on TikTok or Instagram at Project Me with Tiffany, wherever that may be. That's a top priority. That's my main form of marketing and visibility for my business. My second priority are the things that I have coming out for this holiday season in Project Me that many of you have been asking me for years. You want to be on my secret weekly posse digest. Okay. This is my special email list where it's me sending emails to you. It's exclusive content with manifestation tips, productivity tips, money making tips. And really, it's me also sharing some deeper stuff from behind the scenes. I even share journal entries of mine that it seems like you guys are really loving. And this is also where you get first dibs on my stuff. And you want to be on this list because there's going to be a limited supply. So go to projectmewithtiffany.com/secret posse. This is also in the show notes. So I need to be focusing on those things because that's like happening right now, short term, my focus of what's going on. That's it. There at the end, that's the list. I had to take a deep breath because I could start adding other things, but there are no other things. That's it. Period. End of story. Obviously, showing up for my clients, showing up in my posse membership, like that goes without saying, but that's regular routine stuff I already do. So, in terms of additional output, those are my top two things, period. Now let's go to joy generating. For me, I'm in an exploratory stage of what is going to take me to another world. What is going to bring me true joy aside from travel? Because I know all this other extreme stuff I do brings me joy, but I need to be able to have daily periods of extreme reprieve and joy in my life where I am catapulted to another world. What is that going to be for me? So I'm in an exploratory stage. I'm going to explore different crafts. I want to, like I said, try reading different genres of books. I am experimenting with different workouts. Like I'm really into Pilates right now, right? I'm exploring different things and allowing myself to see what works and take what I like and leave the rest. And then also in that joy generating is laughter. You know, I infuse a lot of laughter into all the stuff that I bring you guys because for me, laughter lightens my load. And I swear it takes like pounds off my shoulders. Just having that kind of extreme laughter and not taking all of this so seriously when the world is so serious around us right now. Third category is health. This is a very big category for me right now. But even so, I need to be careful because I could really should all down this page with 27 line items, especially because I've probably been consuming too much content around gut health, around liver detox, around the chemicals in our food system. And truly, it's having not a good effect on me. It's making me paranoid to eat food, which is just only boosting up my cortisol, which is not what I want. I'm becoming so pissed off at our medical system. Again, I've gone too far with it. So I need to back off. So my focus on my health is high quality protein. I always drink a ton of water, so that's already an ingrained habit. Me moving my body in a way that really feels good and doesn't burn me out. So we have that going on. A ton of rest and giving myself permission to sleep 9-10 hours a night if that's what I need. Just a bunch of rest and being very intentional with my time, who I spend time with, what I'm around, what I'm absorbing, and my boundaries are extremely high right now, which there are people close to me who probably don't even understand them, but I've had to cocoon myself as I'm in this phase 3 of this healing process because of how limited my energy is and how much restoration time I need and how I'm already highly sensitive. I'm highly sensitive on another level as my system regulates. So remaining very tight on those boundaries. I wanted to give you an example what I have on mine, and you're going to simply do this for yourself in those categories and adhere to them. And less is more. Take off more things from your list. And if there's things that you want to do and that you feel are important and you don't have them in you to do them right now, then don't, because you half-assing a lot of these things will either take you 10 times longer or it won't get you the result you want anyway. So you either need to delegate it to someone or you need to temporarily shelve it. And that doesn't mean it's never going to happen, my multi-passionates. That doesn't mean that. It's just not right now. In fact, if it was a meant to be now, and if you were supposed to be doing all those things right now, then you would have all the energy and the bandwidth to do them. So maybe all of this is happening and why you need to get your shit together and you've kind of fallen off the wayside is because you're being forced to rearrange the deck. You're being forced to recalibrate everything in a different way to best support where you're going, your greatest expansion, your greatest abundance, your next level. Look at it that way. I needed to hear that as it came out of my mouth. Wishing you great health, wealth, and worth as always. Love you so much. I have a favor to ask you, and it's a really small gesture of reciprocity, of abundance. We have a goal to get to 2,000 Apple podcast reviews here in the US and globally by the end of the year. Would you take 30 seconds and leave a written Apple podcast review? If you don't know how to do it, you can Google it. It'll pop up really quickly, step by step, how to do it. It truly takes 30 seconds. If you want me to share that review, and tag you, you can put your name and your Instagram or TikTok handle in the review, and I would delight in doing it. If you don't want that, just put your name, and this goes a long way to help the show grow. Plus, it lets us know what types of episodes you love, what you do love about the show, so that we can bring on guests and I can curate episodes to best match what it is you want so that you get more of it. And if you want people to give you reviews and testimonials, you got to ask yourself, when was the last time I did it for shows and for people and for mentors and for coaches and for thought leaders who spend so much time and energy pouring into me? And we reached that goal of 2000. I'm going to be doing something insanely special for this entire audience that will blow you away, but we have to reach this goal first. So thank you for taking the time to do that. I appreciate all of my longtime listeners and my new listeners. The show wouldn't be where it's at today without you, and I'm so appreciative of all of you.